She was young, beautiful, and wealthy, admired in high society, and known as one of the most promising women of her time. Then one day, without warning, Blanche Monnier vanished. Her family told people she had gone away, and when questions continued, they claimed she was ill. The police searched, but no trace of her was ever found, and slowly, the world accepted that she was gone forever. For 25 years, life continued as normal outside her family's home. Neighbors passed by daily, admiring the respected aristocrats who lived inside, never suspecting that the woman everyone believed had disappeared had never left the house at all. Blanche Monnier was still there, hidden above their heads, locked away in complete darkness while the world moved on without her. In 1876, Blanche was 25 years old and considered the pride of the Monnier family, a wealthy and well-respected household in Poitiers, France. She was intelligent, cultured, and admired by many, but she fell deeply in love with a lawyer who lacked wealth and social status. To Blanche, love mattered more than reputation, and she wanted to marry him and begin a life of her own. Her mother, Louise Monnier, reacted with fury. She believed the relationship would bring shame to the family name and destroy everything they had built. She forbade the marriage outright, confident that her authority would be obeyed. Blanche refused to comply and insisted on continuing the relationship, even expressing her willingness to leave home rather than abandon the man she loved. Shortly after that confrontation, Blanche disappeared from public life. Behind closed doors, the truth was far more disturbing. Louise Monnier locked her own daughter in a small attic room at the top of the house. The windows were sealed shut, the door secured with a heavy lock, and Blanche was completely cut off from the outside world. What was meant to be punishment became a permanent prison. Days turned into months, and months turned into years. Blanche lived in total isolation, sleeping on a mattress of rotting straw and surviving on scraps of food that were occasionally thrown into the room. She lived among rats and insects, surrounded by filth, with no light, no books, and no human contact. Over time, her body weakened, and her mind slowly began to break under the weight of isolation. Meanwhile, life continued normally below her. The Monnier family hosted guests, attended social events, and maintained their respected image within society. Louise Monnier was even praised for her charity and moral standing, all while her daughter remained imprisoned above her head, slowly wasting away in silence. 25 years passed before anyone questioned Blanche's disappearance again. In May of 1901, the Attorney General of Paris received an anonymous letter that described a horrifying secret hidden inside a respected family's home. The letter claimed that a woman had been locked away for decades, half-starved and living in filth, completely forgotten by the world. Although authorities were initially skeptical due to the family's reputation, the seriousness of the accusation forced them to investigate. Police officers arrived at the Monnier residence and were greeted calmly by Louise, who showed no visible signs of fear or guilt. She allowed them inside, confident that her secret would remain hidden as it always had. However, the officers insisted on searching the entire house, moving methodically from room to room until they reached the attic. There, they found a door sealed with a heavy padlock and coated in dust, as if it had not been opened in decades. When the officers forced it open, an overwhelming stench filled the air, so foul that some of them nearly retreated. The room was completely dark, with windows that had been shuttered for a quarter of a century. When the shutters were finally opened, sunlight flooded the space for the first time in 25 years. Inside the room lay Blanche Monnier. She was barely recognizable as a human being. Her body was skeletal, her skin clinging tightly to her bones. She was naked, covered in dirt, insects, and her own waste, and weighed barely 55 pounds. Rats ran freely across the floor, and crusts of old bread lay scattered near her bed. This was not a bedroom, but a living tomb. Despite her condition, Blanche did not scream or cry when the officers spoke to her. She remained calm and composed, later expressing gratitude simply for seeing the sunlight again. The damage, however, was irreversible. The investigation revealed that Louise Monnier had imprisoned her daughter in 1876 to prevent her from marrying the man she loved. Even after the lawyer died years later, Blanche remained locked away because releasing her would have exposed the crime. Silence had become the only way to preserve the family's reputation. Louise Monnier was arrested immediately, but she never stood trial. Just 15 days after her arrest, she died in prison, reportedly from shock after her secret was exposed to the world. Blanche Monnier was rescued, but freedom came far too late. Decades of isolation had permanently damaged her mental health, and she was unable to reintegrate into society. She spent the remainder of her life in a psychiatric institution, where she died in 1913. She survived her prison, but she never truly escaped it. Sometimes, the most dangerous place in the world is not outside among strangers. Sometimes it is the place that is supposed to be safest of all, home. If stories like this stay with you and change the way you see the world around you, consider subscribing to The Short Chapter, where we tell the true stories that were hidden behind locked doors.